Alright, so it's time to put everything together. RPE scales, bar path analysis, and taking a look and dissecting myself so that way I can get better and maybe you guys can learn something from me about my experience. The squat is one of my hardest movements, and as you can tell on this warm-up set, you can see how at 275 pounds I'm actually doing pretty good with keeping the bar fairly vertical, except for that repetition. That was actually a pretty crappy rep. Here is 315. So you can see how the bar is actually really all over the place. This is a RPE 9 at 6 reps, 315 with a belt, no wraps. And you can kind of see where the bar starts, see where it ends. It's really kind of all over the place. It's just really kind of messed up. And one of the reasons why is because my technique is very inconsistent. So just taking a look here, one of the goals is to stay within the lines. Actually, not even within the lines. It would actually be great to stay at the same spot where the line starts, or that very back line. If I can go up and down that line, the bar will be super light. And you can kind of see how bad my form is and how much room I have to grow. So one of the things that I can do to help improve my technique is push my knees out more, maybe take another wider stance. This is not my wide stance I did a few days ago. This is kind of more of my standard stance that I normally take, and you can see kind of how the bar is still quite all over the place. It goes quite forward. It could be the angle of the camera that's making it bad, but one of the goals when you squat to get the most leverage and the most strength out of the movement is keep the bar as vertical as possible. Now on this set, what I decided to do is I decided to slap on some wraps, and the reason why I put the wraps on is for confidence. I'm getting tired. I could probably drop down to maybe 305 or probably 295. And then just do some reps for a set of 6. But I want to overload, make sure my back is getting used to the weight, and then also allow my hips to still take the overload while my knees get a little bit of a break. Or more specifically, get a little bit of rebound at the bottom. Because one of my biggest problems, again, one of the reasons why I wear a knee wrap in the first place is because it helps protect my knees. It doesn't make my knees hurt. So sometimes I get some knee issues with quadricep tendonitis. And I got a video coming up in a few days about quadricep tendonitis and my experience with it, so look forward to that. It may have already gone up, I'm not sure. But again, I don't make them super tight, but I do make them, enough to give me some sort of rebound at the bottom. And I just started using them the way they were supposed to be used, where you're supposed to actually make them fairly tight. I found this really good video of Brandon Lilly wrapping it, and that's kind of the technique I kind of use. It's a little different because I'm wrapping myself. But that's sort of how I wrap. Thought maybe you guys like to see that since you guys never see me wrap my knees. So here we go. This is a 315, doing a RPE scale 9.5 for a set of 6. And actually my stance is maybe a little bit wider than my normal squat stance, or I should say it's a little bit wider than my strongest squat stance. And the way you can tell, or the way I can tell, is that it doesn't look like I'm going very low. I'm not going low enough. Typically I like to go a little bit lower than this, but because of my stance being a little bit wider, I'm not quite there. It could be that I'm fatigued too. Keep that in consideration. This is my 3rd set. Alright, now time for some deadlifts. Here's some warm-up set with 315, and you can kind of see how fast the bar moves. I typically warm up with a set of 3 with 315, then a set of 3 with 405 before I move on to my working sets. Always helps kind of prime my nervous system and gets me ready to go. I try not to go too high. I used to warm up at a lot higher weights before my working sets, but I would just end up getting tired. So I think 405, sometimes 425 is where I'll do like a single just to warm up before I go into my working sets, whether I'm going for singles, doubles, triples, or sets of 5. So here's the first working set, 465 pounds. Here's a bar path analysis, so you can kind of see my form on this. And overall, you can kind of see how I'm dead on that line. And this is kind of a good contrast when you compare my squat to my deadlift. This is one of the biggest reasons why my deadlift is so good in comparison, especially to my squat, is because my bar path is pretty much perfect. It's pretty close to perfect. It's not always perfect, but in these repetitions, it's looking quite well. What I'm doing, and you can see me taking some time between reps, is because I'm getting used to taking my time between the belt. I'm still not quite used to taking my breaths properly because sometimes I wear it too tight. And then I get in a position where I just feel like my guts are going to explode. So I've been trying to figure this belt out because I don't like really lifting in it, but I do know that it helps quite a bit. So I think one of the things I've been trying to work on as well is my breathing. So here's another bar pass. So you can see how I stay behind the line and pretty much stay in line. It's pretty much dead on, and that's kind of what you're looking for when you're looking for a good deadlift. That's how you get the most amount of leverage. The further, the straighter the line that you make, the better. And this is kind of why on my last set here, I think this is my last set of, for a set of 4, you can see how my line is much straighter, and also you can see how my upper back rounds a little bit more, and that kind of helps give me a little bit more leverage and lockout. It helps decrease my range of motion by maybe an inch or two, which allows for a very, very quick lockout. And then finally, here's a slow motion. You can see Nas over there and Myron in the background. That's kind of funny. But you can kind of see the position on my shoulder and the bar. And the one thing you always got to remember when you deadlift is you want to make sure that the top of the scapula is in line with the bar. And that's not always something that you can easily see, which is kind of why I like recording myself, because then I can see like what I need to work on, stuff I need to improve on. Oh, there you go. There's Nas Myron. That was kind of funny. And then just trying to get that, you see my upper back rounds a little bit more, which allows for a much faster lockout. So I kind of noticed that it really does make a difference. I don't know if that's a technique I'm going to work on, but I just know I'm going to keep, keeping strong thoracic extension. But I do know that with lots of reps, or with more reps, like more than a single, it definitely does make a difference when you're doing one right after the other. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have a comment, leave one below. And I hope you got some good information, and I'll see you guys on the next video.